Have you ever wondered what would happen if Yuji had Sukuna's full power from the very start? Well, this is part 2, so if you haven't watched part 1 yet, the link is in the comment section. Go watch that first. But for everyone who's caught up, welcome back, because this is where things get truly insane. So let's get into it. When the transfigured humans start appearing and Mahito enters the picture, the arc plays out completely differently, because Mahito's whole thing is idle transfiguration. He touches your soul and reshapes it. He needs contact to do that, and every time Mahito gets close enough to Yuji to touch him, Dismantle fires off instinctively and he has to back off. Yuji is literally the worst possible opponent for Mahito's technique. Every time Mahito reaches for him, the space between them becomes a threat, and that's when it gets insane, because Mahito figures this out mid-fight and it genuinely scares him, not because Yuji is hunting him down with some grand strategy, but because Yuji doesn't even have to think about it. His body just kills things that try to touch it now. Mahito escapes, but for the first time in the series, Mahito is the one running away, and he knows that this fight, if it ever gets finished, is not one he can win. Nanami, fighting alongside Yuji, watches all of this and says absolutely nothing, but the way he looks at Yuji on the way back says everything. By the time the Goodwill event rolls around, the word has already spread. Everyone knows Yuji Itadori is carrying Sukuna's full power, not just a few fingers. All of it. Every Kyoto student walking into that forest knows it. Every Tokyo student already knows it. And the higher-ups who secretly ordered the Kyoto students to kill Yuji, they're significantly less confident about that plan than they were in the original timeline. Because here's the thing, in the original story, Yuji was strong, physical powerhouse, great instincts, but still growing. Here, Yuji walks into the Goodwill event forest as someone who just casually survived a special grade curse on his first real mission. The Kyoto students are disciplined, they're talented, but they are not suicidal. Toru still rushes him first, because of course he does. Toru doesn't care about power scaling. Toru cares about character, and the moment Toru throws that first punch and Yuji meets it head on without flinching, Toru immediately recognizes something that has nothing to do with technique or output. He recognizes Yuji's soul. This is exactly the kind of guy he's been looking for, so they still end up fighting together, still become brothers instantly. None of that changes. But then Hanami shows up, and that's when it gets truly insane, because in the original timeline, Hanami was a problem, a serious, sustained, brutal problem. Here, Yuji and Todo fight together the same way, but when Yuji lands a clean hit on Hanami and activates Dismantle through contact, Hanami, an extremely powerful special grade curse, loses an arm. Just like that, Hanami, who was built to absorb damage, feels that cut, and for the first time in the battle, Hanami starts moving away from Yuji instead of toward him. Gojo still comes in and forces the retreat, but this time, even Gojo noticed something different about how Yuji fought. He's not just reacting anymore, he's starting to understand what he has. And now we reach Shibuya, and this is where everything breaks open. Gojo still gets sealed. That part happens the same way because the trap was never about power, it was about strategy. The curtains, the timing, the crowds, the positioning, none of that changes because of what Yuji can do. Gojo walks into that situation and gets sealed, and the entire battlefield shifts. But here's where the original story falls apart and this timeline takes over completely. Because in the original story, Yuji spent Shibuya getting brutalized. Choso nearly killed him. The transfigured humans overwhelmed him. Mahito hunted him. And Sukuna got released and destroyed half the ward. None of that happens here. Yuji enters Shibuya and starts moving through the transfigured humans. Cleave activates with intent now, not instinct, intent. He sweeps through them and doesn't stop moving. When Choso finds him and fires piercing blood, Yuji feels it coming and sidesteps while cutting the trajectory of the technique out of the air mid-flight. Choso has never seen that before. Nobody alive has seen that before. The fight between them is intense, but it's not close. Yuji overwhelms Choso before Choso can build any real momentum and ends the fight without taking serious damage. When Mahito finally appears for the real confrontation, it is nothing like their original battle, because Yuji now understands exactly why Mahito can't touch him and uses that knowledge deliberately. He closes distance, forces Mahito to keep retreating, and every time Mahito tries to create space with transfigured humans, Yuji sweeps through them with a single wide dismantle and keeps walking forward. Mahito has no good options, and Yuji is not angry in the way that clouds judgment. He is completely terrifyingly calm, and that's when it gets insane, because Sukuna, watching all of this from inside, doesn't try to take over, not once, because Sukuna is getting exactly what he wanted from the beginning, a front row seat to watch his own techniques being used used by a human who might actually be worth watching. For Sukuna, this is entertainment on a level he hasn't felt in 1,000 years. Shibuya still ends in disaster, because Gojo is still sealed, and that's a catastrophe no matter what. But Yuji holds the line in a way that was never possible in the original story. If you want more Jujutsu Kaisen breakdowns just like this one, subscribe. We've got plenty more coming, and watch this video next. See you in there.